So I have a piece here of watercolour paper, and this piece here measures 15 by about 11 centimetres, and I'm using some painter's tape to tape this down to a wooden board. Now if you don't have one of these, you can simply just tape it to your grid paper or your table, and washi tape if you don't have any painter's tape, like so. Now the colours that I'm using today is going to be Mellow Mumbo, Pumpkin Pie and Daffodil Delight. Now I'm using some re-inkers, and I'm just going to put some in my tray here. Now if you don't have any re-inkers, you can simply just apply pressure to the top of your ink pad, and some ink will transfer into your tray there, and you can always use that as your palette, so if you don't have any re-inkers. I just like re-inkers because it saves me having to push down on my pad to apply more colour when I need it. And I also have an aqua painting here and some paper towel. Now I am going to start with my Mellow Mumbo. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to just squeeze a little bit of water out of my brush, and I'm just going to wet my watercolour paper here. Okay, now I'm just going to pick up some Mellow Mumbo and apply that colour about a third of the way. You can always add as much colour as you want, and you see how the water is just spreading that down beautifully. So then I'm just going to clean off my brush, just drip some water, clean it off, and the next I'm going to add is some pumpkin pie. And I'm going to blend it into that Mellow Mumbo as well. And I'm just going to clean off my brush till it runs clear. And my last colour I'm going to grab here is some Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to blend that into my pumpkin pie there as well. Now you can go over this as much as you want. Because it's watercolour paper, we can add a bit more water to it and we can blend it. Just going to blend some more of this up here and a bit down here into my daffodil. Like that. And then what I'm going to do now, so I'm just going to add a bit more daffodil, I think. Blend that in a bit more. What I'm going to do now is you can either set this side to dry, or if you're impatient like I am, you can get your heat tool to it and dry it. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my heat tool, I'm going to dry this off, and then I'll be back. Okay, so this is what it looks like now that it's dried, and I'm super happy with this. Now if you're not, you can always go ahead and add another layer and blend it a bit more. You don't have to make it as vibrant as what I had. You can always just apply less colour to it and make it more lighter, but I quite like the bold rich colours of this colour combination. So I've gone ahead and I've trimmed this down to 14.5 by 10 centimetres, and I have my hexagon embossing folder here, and these are the thick embossing folders. So I'm going to actually put this in, making sure I line it up because I don't want it to be crooked when it comes out. Now a tip, because I've made this mistake a billion times and I don't want you to make the same mistake. Hold on, I didn't line that up very well. Let's try that again. Is when you put it through your Big Shot, you want to make sure that the Stampin' Up logo is up the top, because it will come out looking different, and it's really annoying when you spend all that time watercolouring to have it come out in the wrong direction. So when you're going to put this through the Big Shot here, you are actually going to use this plate right here. You're going to not worry about this one, so you can put that aside. You're going to put then your embossing folder, and you're going to put an acrylic plate on top, and we're going to run that through the Big Shot. So I'm going to go ahead and put this through my Big Shot, and then I'll be back. So this is what it's going to look like when it comes out of your Big Shot machine, and you can quite see that that's like a 3D dimension to it. I just love the look of this embossing folder. It's one of my favorites. Next I have a piece here of scrap Whisper White cardstock, and I've got my green that comes from a Sweet Saying stamp set, and I'm going to ink this up in my black Stays On ink. And stamp that onto my cardstock there. Next I'm using the second largest die from my stitched framelit dies here, the circle one, and I'm just going to use a bit of washi tape to hold that in place as it goes through the Big Shot machine, because I don't want it to move. And this is how we're going to make our sandwich. So I have my platform here, and we've got our little thin die adapter, and we'll have one of our cutting plates, and then our stamped image with its framelit on it, and then another cutting plate. And I'm going to run that through my Big Shot, and then we'll be back. So here's my die that I've cut out, my greeting, and then I've also gone and used my layering circles die and cut a circle that is bigger than my greeting using some vellum cardstock. So I'm going to now just stick this straight onto my vellum, centering it. So I'm going to stick this down to my standard card base here, and this card base here is cut using thick Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to leave equal borders along all 4 sides. And then our green here, I've just gone ahead and put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. And then I can stick that to the top there, and there you can see what that looks like. Thanks for watching.